What up, LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube? We are live and it's Monday night and I'm back. I was not here last week. I was a little bit under the weather, but I'm back and I'm consistent and I'm ready for action. And I've got an exciting guest who's joining us today. Look, I think that the most important thing right now is communication, and I think sales is a big part of that. And I've got the man himself, Ryan Tuckwood, who's somebody that's I've met as we shared the stage at a certified ballers event at WA Optus Stadium. Ryan's, you may recognize him from Shark Tank. He's a multiple business owner, advisor, investor, speaker. He'll be joining us very shortly. We'll share a little bit about his story. I gotta share my screen. The coolest thing I've ever seen on LinkedIn I saw this week. I'm gonna share my screen with you, and I want you to see what I'm looking at right now. Hopefully it broadcasts okay. All right, Nathaniel's screen. Let's do this. All right, boom. Check this out. Shil Shangavi dropping bombs on LinkedIn. Yeah. Boom. Dudes. If you haven't seen Shil Shangavi's rap on LinkedIn yet, get amongst it. That shit blew my mind. That was dope, Shil. I think like you've got a new career coming up. All right, look, I don't know how everybody's feeling this week, but I am pumped. I've been on 3 runs today. I've done 12 kilometers. I'm getting excited for the week. I believe that we are on the way out of this whole isolation thing, which is cool. We've got kids going back to school next Monday. I've got a dog arriving on Sunday. His name is Marshall, named him after the legendary Slim Shady. So I'm feeling pumped. I'm feeling excited, and I don't really want to waste any more time. I'm going to bring Ryan straight onto the call. Ryan Tuckwood, are you ready? I know he's sitting there in the green room. He's got his energy bouncing off the walls. Welcome, Ryan. How are you today?
I'm fantastic, thank you. I'm looking for my rider. Where do you keep the drinks in this green room?
The drinks, yeah. Oh, sorry, mate. We must have missed your request.
Mate, what dog have you got, by the way? What's Marshall gonna be?
He's a King Charles Cavalier. That's it. Yeah.
Nice. Good dog.
Yeah, beautiful dog. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Marshall joining the family. Ryan, for those on the call that may not have come across your content before, can you share a little bit about how you got into what you do currently in sales training?
Yeah, sure. And firstly, thank you for having me on. Nat, like it's I watch you every single week, and I always learn a lot. So it'll be a pleasure to hopefully drop a little bit of value as well. How did I get into sales training? The short answer is kicking and screaming. I was a mechanical maintenance engineer in the UK for 8 years before I arrived over here. And I fell into sales because I couldn't find any other work, is the true story. And I fell into a little bit of call center work, so the call center environment, where my job was to make $300 a day, and within 90 seconds find out if somebody had $15,000 to $25,000 cash in their bank, which was quite demoralizing and hit me pretty hard. So it was a baptism of fire. And as you probably know, in the sales world, it can eat you up and spit you out very quickly. What it did for me was spit me out very quickly. I decided to quit after 3 months because I was bottom of the board out of 21 people. And then I went on this sort of journey of realization over time, which we might explore in a second, to try and figure out that sales is actually a skill that can be learned. There's an art to it. There's a formula. And then I went from being bottom of a sales board to first in 5 weeks. And that's kind of where it all began, I guess. And I can dissect some more of that for you if you like in a second.
And so tell us, how does somebody go from being bottom of the board to top of the board and then winning Young Entrepreneur of the Year? And then tell us also about the success you had on Shark Tank in 2018. I bet everyone's keen to hear a lot about that.
Yeah, they seem to be. I think for me, what happened, I'll just put it all into context. I talk about crisis points a lot in life, not just in careers. And right now we're in a big crisis point, if you want to call the COVID-19 sort of situation as crisis point. Mine was that I was in a role that I hated. I was in a job that I didn't believe was for me. I was not very good at it. I had no money. I literally had 31 cents in my bank. I was sleeping on a bathroom floor. And I got to the stage where it was either go home with my tail between my legs back to the UK or try and figure this out. And fortunately for me, my sales manager at the time, my now business partner, Jack, he didn't give up on me. And he set me a challenge. He set me what we now call the 60-day stretching program, where he wanted me to fanatically consume as much information around sales, negotiation, body language, emotional intelligence, behavioral science, I guess the psychology around people taking action. And I started to study all of the old school greats, really. So Jim Rohn, Tom Hopkins, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Ron Willingham, all the way through to your Jordan Belfort, your Grant Cardone, Jeremy Minor. And I saw a real common sort of golden thread all the way through. And the golden thread for me was that there was 5 core fundamentals to sales, which were how you introduce yourself, how do you master that winning first impression. The second part was how do you discover people's needs and how do you open people up that sometimes just don't want to be opened up. The third one was how do you present into those needs, so present in a way that they see value, not in a way that you see value. Fourth one was trial closing, so actually asking for the business, recognizing there was 3 layers to it. And then level 5, which was objection handling and mindset. And when I saw all of this, and every single one was the same, so my engineering brain started to kick in. And then I realized that it was a process. And I started to just work on micro elements of my presentation at a time and started to see some quick wins. So I'd keep somebody on the phone for an extra 30 seconds. I'd be able to get past one more objection than I did yesterday. And that gave me momentum. It gave me like an intrinsic motivation because practically I was better at what I was doing. And then over time, I started to get better results. And then literally within 5 weeks, I'd gone past all 20 other people and I was number 1. And within 2 years, I was running that company of 47 people. And I found a passion for not sales, but the sales process. So one of my first mentors always said to me, Ryan, if you don't love what you do, love how you do it. And I started to love how you do it. What I didn't like, and I talk quite openly about it now, I'm not overly proud about it, but what I didn't like was the company that I worked for, the higher up I got within that organization, the more unethical I realized they were. They weren't selling with integrity and selling honestly, as we now stand for, swish. They were manipulative, bully-like tactics, and I wasn't conforming to that, but I was number 1. So in my eyes, the way I was doing it, which was relationship-based and really kind of take your time if needed, that was working. So in 2014, I broke away with my now business partner, Jack, and we decided to create an organization with the sole intention of changing the perception of sales around the globe, proving that it could be done a different way. We did that by initially taking job seekers, and we wanted to prove how good we were. I always say, show people how good you are, don't tell them how good you are. So we wanted to take job seekers looking to get into sales and place them into a sales role with no experience, give them 2 days worth of training and then some support online, and turn them into the #1 performer within the first 10 weeks. That was always our aim. So we ended up placing 2,500 people in the first 2 and a bit years. We saved the government $17.1 million in Centrelink payments.
Wow.
Won a few awards. Jack decided he wanted to go on Shark Tank. I didn't, because I was terrified of public speaking. Anyway, we did it, and ended up being the first company in the history of Shark Tank Australia to get 3 investors on board. So now we're super fortunate to have Steve Baxter, Andrew Banks, and Dr. Glenn Richards, who sit as shareholders and advisors to the organisation.
Wow, what a story! So do you?
Version.
That's incredible, man. So you were sleeping on the bathroom floor at one point. Jeez, that must have been rough.
Yeah, if anybody knows the Gold Coast, I was living in a place called Broadbeach on my mate's bathroom floor. So 2 guys called James, and I was living there for 6 weeks on their bathroom floor, windowless box on a pool floaty on a lilo. And
jeez, we've all our stories, but that's just been rough, man.
Yeah.
Do you believe that salespeople are born or made?
Made. If you want a short answer, made. I believe that because what I believe is that salespeople, and the best salespeople, are not your extroverts, people that have got the gift of the gab. Oh, sorry, can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, but I look paused on the screen.
Yeah, you're frozen. Sorry, you look really interested. So, yeah, I'm a big believer that salespeople can be made. For the primary reason, I think a lot of people think the best salespeople in the world are the ones with the gift of the gab. They're the extroverts. They're the ones that are out there. They're super confident. And in my experience, they've actually been the worst salespeople.
Right.
The best ones for me are the introverts that you can give a system to. You can show them that you're truly going to assist the buyer for their benefit, not just to make a commission. And when you can get really good people, really good, genuine, sincere people that care about other human beings, and give them a process with intentional language that doesn't manipulate, but just helps you tell your truth better. Because we've all got a truth. A lot of businesses just cannot articulate the value of what they do good enough that somebody else sees it. And if you give that to a really good person, they actually become the best salespeople, because they won't change the system. Whereas the extroverts, the influencer personality types, they get bored and they change what they're doing all the time. So they have that roller coaster sort of ride in sales. So I'm living, breathing proof that salespeople can be made. And that's what I'm passionate about now. I'm passionate about showing people that the ones out there that are watching right now that maybe believe that sales isn't for them, or I'll leave that to somebody a bit more confident. It couldn't be further from the truth. Anybody can learn to do this. Like anybody can learn to run Zero or MyOb or whatever it is. It's exactly the same type of skill.
Yeah, and how have you suggested that people adapt their styles to the current economic environment?
I come up with a realization that we haven't really adapted. And what I mean by that is I believe this current situation is forcing everybody for the first time ever to sell how we should be selling, with empathy, with care, building relationships, adding value. So I don't want this to sound bad, but ironically, we haven't changed our process. I have come up with a fancy acronym, which I'll share with you because I do like acronyms. And the acronym is CARE. The acronym is really simple, CARE. I've got it written down right in front of me. The first one is, can you communicate your credibility? So right now, instead of trying to sell to everybody, can you communicate your credibility? So that on the other side of this, there will be a boom. There is always a boom after a recession, and we know that. The companies that are there right now all the way through this will be the ones that people remember. But most importantly, the ones that cared and the ones that gave value will be the ones that you remember, not the ones that tried to sell to you. So I've got credibility, then I've got attitude. You said it just before we came on air here, that you want to bring a level of positivity to this. And you go through your newsfeed and you see negativity, propaganda, like constant. And then all of a sudden you see that one person that's the ray of light. They're the light at the end of the tunnel that says, do you know what? There is hope after this. Then be that person. So How do you communicate your attitude through all of this? You're getting bogged down in the negativity. And then the R and the E are relationships and empathy. And what I will say is we need to lead with empathy. So right now, people are struggling. I did a webinar on how to sell through Zoom. And I went through the change curve and people's learning behaviors and how people are in a state of grief. People are losing loved ones, they're losing businesses, they're losing everything. You can't be flying in, hard selling them just off the cuff. This needs to be a relationship that you look to build. So, I mean, for instance, we've just done it in, we decided to create a totally free of charge program for the first time ever in our history. We said, let's do a 14-day, it was a bit of a take on the isolation, to be fair. It was, let's do a 14-day isolation sales challenge where I deliver one video every single day for 14 days. And I'm going to set you challenges to do whilst you're at home, with the aim that when people come out of this, they're going to be in a better position than when they went into it. We said, let's beta test it for 50 people. We just started that challenge this morning. We had 633 people registered. It just blew up.
Wow.
So I think people are craving that. People are craving the leaders. They're craving people that are actually going to show them some positivity and also actually care. So we're not in there hard selling people. We're showing them over 14 days how good we are. And you know the score, and people watching know the score. If they like it at the end, we've got a website. They can have a look what else we've got, but there's no need to hard sell at all.
So is that a Facebook group, is it?
It's just a private Facebook group, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. And what are you... Is it too late to join?
If I might be able to get you in.
Oh, so you hear that, guys? You're going to have to drop some comments below to get into this private Facebook group. It sounds like a lot of fun.
If they do want to get in, that's genuinely, we cut it off at midday. If they do want to get in, then they message Bibby or something like, Bibby's a good one. I like that. Message me personally, Bibby, or comment below. We'll get them in there. They've missed day one, but they can go back and watch all the videos. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Ryan, it's been awesome having you on the series. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should have? Is there anything that you... Swish is usually a big one. What does Swish stand for? I think you know what Swish stands for, which is selling with integrity and selling honestly. So that came about as Jack and I, our business partner, we used to start every single training session by saying to people, we're going to show you how to sell with integrity and sell honestly. And it took us about 2 years to realize that was an acronym for Swish. And we realized that we prefer that much more than we do ISR training. So probably what you should be asking me is there going to be a name change in the near future? Then very likely there is. Swish sales training as opposed to ISR training. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, thanks for being here, mate. And look, if you've got any questions to follow up with Ryan, drop them in the comments. Ryan, the biggest portion of our audience is on LinkedIn, so you may have to hop on there to respond to some of those. But there'll be some people joining us from Facebook and YouTube, no doubt, as well. Look forward to seeing everybody next Monday night for another live session at 6 p.m. Perth time, which is now 8 p.m. on the East Coast. And thanks for joining us. Pleasure, mate. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.